Welcome into Just Another Podcast, hosted by yours truly, Just Another Chris. And in today's episode, I sit down with Gregory Littley, and we have a great conversation about zines. Yes, been wanting to do an episode around zines for quite some time, and it was a perfect time because Gregory just released a brand new zine called Cute in partnership with H&M, which is really cool. So we're going to learn his ins and outs, some of the thought processes that he went into creating the zine, and some of his ideas about the creative process on should you do everything on your own? Should you do everything by yourself if you're creating a zine or video or whatever? Should you do it by yourself or should you hire people? He's got some fun stories like hanging out with Emma Stone at Britney Spears' birthday party and so much more. So sit on back and enjoy episode 21 of Just Another Podcast. Gregory, hey, how's it going?
Hello, Chris. It's been so long since I last and first met you.
Yes, so we met in New York at Polaroid. Polaroid really bringing everybody together.
It was the first one I ever attended. I'm not sure if it was the first one, but it was pretty exceptional. Like, it gave you opportunity to meet a lot of people, at least for me, a lot of people that I've met or I've followed in some capacity online, like yourself, and actually go up to them, talk to them, and like meet them, really.
Yeah, it was so much fun. And we got to chatting, and why don't you tell that?
I talked your ear off for probably an hour. It was, you know what it was? It was such an interesting, I have so many like analog instant photography interests, and just because of like time and also resources, we're all not able to try out these different cameras or play with different types of film. So having the opportunity to see some of their like IRL demonstrations, like that large format, was incredible. Like, it was just, and it was also a really nice way just to meet more people within the community. I mean, I do feel blessed that I live in Manhattan, where I'm exposed to so much, not only photography, digital photography, but also I really am exposed to a lot of people that are like heavily interested in Polaroid, instant photography, analog, 35 millimeter, but to all kind of convene in one place and kind of like network also. I feel like it was like a really interesting networking opportunity as well. And to meet some of the people. Yeah, to meet some of the people from actual Polaroid.
Yeah, Polaroid themselves.
But I saw you immediately, and I was like, okay, I'm going to like let Polaroid do their opening address, and then I'm going to like head over and speak to you. What I really enjoyed most about Polaroid was like the ability to IRL and meet those people a lot, and Chris, you're definitely one of them. I was able to kind of like zero in, wait till there was like a moment where I could kind of like talk to you or share with you at least how you've helped along my journey, especially over the last year. Like, I've heavily leaned into your YouTube channel for not only reviews, like purchase, guidance on purchases, different cameras, but I love, because you're braver than me. I won't. I'm like scared of using that expired film or like, trying different lighting scenarios. So it's very voyeuristic for me to kind of like lean in and watch your videos of where like you'll go outside, you'll take pictures of signs, like the whole thing that you did at Disney. Like, it's very, to me, I just think it's so entertaining, and you do a really good job of highlighting the practicality of analog instant photography, but then also like the fun aspect, which I think so many of us that are embracing instant photography or Polaroid or Instax really kind of miss.
Yeah, well, hey, stop.
No, but
hey, I appreciate the feedback and insight, because like when I make these videos, it's like I make them and then I spend all this time and effort, upload it, and then I'm like, cool, I'll move on to the next one. I don't ever really get outside of like maybe some comments, but not like true like, hey, it's actually doing something and actually is helping someone or getting some sort of entertainment or enjoyment out of it. So I always like to hear it. And Polaroid was a big one, big eye opener for me. Really was because like I got to see
how many people you touch and you reach with your work.
Yeah, which I've never really got to experience before. I got a little taste of it when I went to San Francisco Policon, but that one was more people just kind of walking around. I don't think people really got to see or meet everybody that
Yeah.
attended that one because we were all spread out everywhere. But going back a little bit, we kind of skipped over. Who are you? What do you do? Do a short little
Yeah.
intro of. Tell us a little
Yeah.
bit about yourself.
Well, I mean, honestly, one of the reasons why I leaned in so much to YouTube is because I'm not a traditionally trained photographer in any way. So I'm a digital marketer. I've worked agency side, brand side for the better part of the last 10 years, specifically in Manhattan. So I've worked with, beauty brands, automotive brands, publishing houses, and for the last 2 years, I've specifically been freelance. So I've taken kind of all that wonderful experience and my awesome network that I've built up over this time. And I've been doing what I did, but for many different companies and in many different kind of expansive ways of specifically digital marketing. But over the last year, I've really tried to concentrate on like IRL innovation. So like in real life innovation. So I've done like pop-up studios. I
Mm,
did, scene that we'll talk about. And I've
yeah,
tried all of those efforts are a way to try to marry what I find to be trending creative with things that I'm passionate about and interested in creating.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, I got one of your zines. Thank you for popping this over. It's so cool. I
Got
love.
two. You got two?
Yes, I did got two. I got one down. I just only brought up one. Appreciate that. Maybe I'll give away the second one
I,
to
what
somebody.
was what was yes, what was funny, give it to a friend who you love. What
Yes.
was funny is that when you and I first met at Policon, which one was that? Was that May?
May,
No.
yeah, mid May. I think it was mid May.
Yeah. I was just in the final stages of working out the the like, the the details for that project. So I think I
Mm-hmm.
like lightly like shared a little bit about you
Mm-hmm.
about the project with you, but it was like there was absolutely nothing in existence when we met and spoke. So it was really really fast and it was exciting, and again it's trying to just like marry my interests with like what I feel to be like trending visuals across you know beauty, fashion, culture, with this kind of like hodgepodge collage moment that's happening.
Yeah. No, it's so cool. The layout, the design, everything. It's
Thank you,
so cool. Um,
thank you.
now was this was in partnership with H&M? Can you tell me a little bit about that?
So yeah, so H&M is one of my clients that I've worked with over the last few years. I never work with them in the same capacity twice, so it's very fun and it's always kind of exciting.
Yeah.
And this, I had a standalone idea to start a zine on my own called Cute. And I noticed that a ton of the imagery that I was using for the first issue, which probably will be the second issue now because this became the
Mm-hmm.
first issue really quickly, a lot of it were moments that I was capturing at H&M events, partnerships that I was involved in, a lot of like models, celebrities, creators, things of that nature that were like pertaining to New York and H&M's universe here.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of brought it to them and be like, hey, is it okay that I'm using these images that, and they're like, sure, yeah, of course. And then that kind of sparked a deeper conversation about what is this? What are you doing? Like, what is the goal? And then from there, it segued into a brand new project, which is a standalone issue of my zine Cute, which is the first issue of my zine Cute
Yeah.
in partnership with H&M. So, and it was important to me, especially like we shot the majority of it in the first week of June, and I really wanted to bring together like a lot of creators, a lot of queer creators that I follow that I think are awesome, that I'm inspired by, and that I think are just doing really great work and putting really great um, thoughts and ideas and representation out in the world. So that's what this is. I reached out to about 17 different creators, and all but one were able to participate. We shot all of the Polaroid portraits. I shot with my iType. I shot with my on iType film, and then I shot with a vintage like old 600 film camera. And then the rest of the images that you see in there were shot with my little Kodak half frame.
Yeah.
And then, just got everything. Everything is hand scanned. The collages that you see are photographed, but like live photography. So nothing is like scanned or manipulated by.
Practical.
Yeah. So it was, and it was, for me, it was a practice that I wanted to create because my entire life's work and income has come from screens, from the internet, which I'm really grateful for. But I just wanted to kind of push in a different direction and see if people who have made their livelihoods on the internet would be interested in being a part of this as well. So, and it just, the accumulation with H&M was perfect. And then the timing of Pride, everything kind of aligned literally in 7 days.
Yeah, that's so cool. The first thing that really drew me to it, because you told me about, like I said, at Polaroid, and you had mentioned that you were going to send me one. I didn't even know what it really was or what it was going to look like or anything like that, but I was excited. But what really got me excited is when you did your launch for it, and I saw the cover, and immediately I'm drawn to using like practical photography in stuff more so than creating something digitally. Obviously, I mostly an analog YouTube channel where I've got physical stuff. I just love having something physical, and that was immediate. I'm like, oh, I want it. That's so cool. And it reminds me of some of the stuff like I've made in the past. I don't know if you remember. I know you said you've watched some of my videos, but it was a couple years ago. I did what do they call them? Pola copies. And and the one thing that really just, I don't know why, but sparked just like hey, I did something like this. The pull-out poster that you've got in here. I did something like that with those, but it was like a poster / checklist for everything. And I love it's so cool. I absolutely love that. And your layouts that you've done, especially on the, let me go full screen here, the back cover. That's so cool. Yeah. That's just fun. That's just so cool.
I know. Well, I mean, listen, I came of age on the internet in the early 2000s and 2010s. And that was the era of, the Instagram laydown. So it's arc back to my internet heritage, if you want to call it like the 2010s heritage.
Right. Kind of.
I do believe that there's this like kind of cyclical moment happening where, a few years ago we had like this explosion of like Y2K everywhere, where companies, people, aesthetic across the internet was heavily affected by things that occurred from like 2000 to 2000 or like 99 to 2004. And now it's like this hyperized moment where the early days of Tumblr and like photo collaging and lay down, the early time of Instagram are kind of having this revival as well. So, I mean, all of that is kind of like in my head, and it's always like source of inspiration.
Yeah, it's really cool. There's definitely a lot of inspiration from this, because I've been trying to workshop a new zine for myself, and I might draw some inspiration from this. There's some cool stuff in here for some ideas.
It's out in the world. Draw anything you want.
Yeah, I love it. I've been wanting to do a lot more collage-based stuff. Because originally, I don't think I've ever actually mentioned this on the channel or podcast before. But originally, partly it was one of the reasons I got into instant photography, which I've said before, which is having physical memories, physical things. Push a button, I'm done. I live in a digital world. I deal with cameras. I have to worry about camera settings and stuff all the time, and that's my day job. So it's like being able to step away from that and just have one picture. But one thing I haven't really talked about is one of the reasons I got into it outside of that, what I just said, is having or utilizing instant photography to tell stories, like doing collages. So like if I wanted to create B-roll sequences to tell a story, I can just use instant photos in my shots, or it's like a practical effect or things like that. And that's kind of why
it visually moves along a narrative. Like I would love to do that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And that's one of the things. And so as I'm going through this, I'm seeing a lot of like that, like in these pages, whereas they're instead of it just being a digital scan of a photo that's placed in the magazine, it's still sort of analog in a way to where it's like, here's a picture of that physical photo. And I really enjoy that. And that's really cool. And plus it's the colors and pops, and it's great.
Well, I mean, I'm always gonna try to pop with the colors, but I appreciate you. I appreciate you noticing that like that handmade aspect that I really did try to bring through each page. And there is no two pages that are the same. That's on purpose.
Yeah.
I did go from like a larger amount of pages to a smaller amount of pages because then when you're like, oh, I have to hand decal and sticker all these pages. Okay, let's talk about time and let's talk about realistic
Mm-hmm.
expectations. But yeah, I would love to see you do a zine. Would it be like a Goose Week zine? Is that like you already have some really fun artwork floating around for that?
Yeah, I've got a few things like a list of random zines that I've been wanting to make, but I have actually it's right here. This was not planned. I've released one. I have two zines out that I've made. This one is of my hometown of Hazeldale,
Yeah.
and so I kind of did a little bit of what you did. This isn't a digital scan; it's like of the photo, but inside I made it kind of like a scrapbook. But these are digital scans, where it's photos.
Did you hand tape to the paper?
No, this is all digital. So that's why I was like, oh, maybe for the second one, because this I did leave it open ended. This is volume 1, and so I've been wanting to do a volume 2. Like here's a little story about my store when I owned it. But so I'm like, ooh, maybe I can do volume 2.
Volume 1, Volume 2, Volume 3. That's very Guardians of the Galaxy of you.
I wanted to make it look like a scrapbook. Technically, these books. So these are all handwritten. I did wrote all of this stuff.
You have such nice penmanship.
I practiced super uber duper hard to make sure it was like okay, and I purposely left crossouts because I wanted to make this look like I wrote this in a journal, like while on the road.
You have to send me one of these, okay?
Yeah.
I want you to send me one of these. Also, I should have commissioned you for your penmanship. My penmanship was like I paid a 5-year-old in candy and had them go wild on the scribbles.
Oof. But, mine's not the best, but I appreciate that because I did make sure I was like going super slow to try and make it look, but I also did kind of want to make it look sort of sloppy in the beginning anyway.
Well, I think that's the
like
biggest
scrapbook. I was like, oh, I'll tear off. Like the idea of the story is like I'm making a field guide, and so I'm like ripping off pieces of paper that I have in my car. And I thought about even using like burger wrappers, like from McDonald's, and just like write on it and then scan it in or whatever.
Elements like those stickers, I collected them over the course of the year because I knew I would do some type of printed format. I didn't know what it was going to be, but like literally make a bin. I don't know how organized your home has to be, but like I try to keep things in the bin.
Right now,
I try to keep it together. Otherwise, my like projects and work equipment would consume me and my husband, which I don't. But start collecting, paper scraps, things like start collecting now, so that when you get to the stage of doing volume 2, which you will do, have all these elements. And honestly, just get like a bed scanner, like a flat bed scanner off of like, I don't want to say Bezos's company, but one of the various places can go on. Right. In fact, on this, you can link to a scanner that you want people to buy and code it so that
there you go.
You make a
little affiliate money. I use Bezos. I make money off Bezos. But yeah, so I've got that book, and then there's a couple other ones I've been doing because I used to own a retail shop, toy shop back in the day, and so over the last 4 years as a side thing, it wasn't planned out, and I've come up with better ideas that I wish I'd thought about earlier. But it's like it's instant photography, all based, but they are Polaroids or Instax of toy shops, comic book shops around America.
Oh my God.
The problem is, I didn't plan it out. I just took a picture of the outside of the store. I didn't take pictures inside.
Oh no!
Exactly.
What?
So I mean, I thought, yeah. So because I'm like in my head, I'm like, I I can't use my camera on the inside; it would be too dark. It wouldn't be able to work. But why not? But then in my head, why wouldn't I mix it with digital and analog? I could have some pictures.
Or bring a
Right.
35 millimeter, like,
Yeah. I just
mix it up.
I don't know. I just was
There's
like,
ways to do it.
I figured out this.
Yeah.
On the fly. I'll do this. But unfortunately, I shot probably a couple hundred of these already. And I'm like, by the time I've come up with some ideas, I'm like, oh shoot. And some of them aren't even there anymore. And
Think
so
about that poster. Think
yeah,
about, you could do a large format poster and sell it on your store.
yeah. Well, there's still something there, and I've got a box, and I'm going to work on it. The other one is someone's been trying to get me to do, and I should probably do it. It's very cliche, which is fine. I don't mind cliche. And that is just a book of neon signs that I shot on instant
Oh,
photography.
but you do have good. I mean,
I've got some good
really,
ones.
yeah, you do. And yeah, and I also love when you like go specifically to like iconic neon signs and you shoot them at different times. I mean, that's a whole thing. That's like a coffee table book.
Yeah, exactly. That's what everyone says. I know I could do it, but I'm like, that's just one more step to the cliche film photographer, which is fine. I don't mind it. Hey, real quick, I wanted to remind you guys about the members area. Yeah, there are some amazing perks by becoming a member of the Spitfire Club, such as extended versions of Just Another Podcast, and extended versions of YouTube videos, and early access to said YouTube videos, and exclusive monthly signed photos sent to your door, and access to the members exclusive Spitfire Club t-shirt. But that's not all. There is now an exclusive members only Zoom call. Yeah, we have our club meeting. We sit down, we chat, we talk about things that we're into, things that we're struggling with, things we want to improve, and special guest appearances from other like-minded content creators. Ugh, it's so much fun. If you want to become a member today, there is a link in the description below. I'll see you in there. Yeah, I got some zines. There was another one, I can't remember. I have a list. I got a list of ideas, just time to execute. I originally came up with the idea of doing a yearbook where every year it's not just instant photography, it's whatever. Because I did one for 2020. Technically, it came out in 2021, but it was for 2020. And it was an interactive book as well, so you could watch videos. There's like QR codes throughout the pages, so you would see like me talking about something or writing about something. Here's some pictures, but then there's a QR code. Then you just scan it and you can watch a video about whatever it was.
Would it be like a year in review, like of your work?
Pretty much, yeah. Like I was gonna do that every year, and I'm like, but it took me forever to make the first one. I'm like, I don't know if I could. This is like a full-time job just to make this one.
Do you, and these, like, when you're formulating these ideas or when you're creating showcases of your analog work, are you mostly, like, for me, I concept by myself, but then I will hire like certain, like for instance, for my for all of the collages that you saw, that wasn't me, that was a photographer, Tristan.
Okay.
That I physically made everything, but like the actual photography, because again, I would never position myself as a traditionally trained photographer. So I understand, and I also know what I'm really good at, and I also know where like my ability stops. But I don't want my inability to be able to do something prevent an idea coming to life. So like, I feel like there's a lot of these things that you can, I don't know, source your area and partner with, and then like maximize to kind of get going, to birth into the world.
Right. And that's a great thing that you brought up, or a great point, or great insight and advice, because that's something that I've learned, especially in just literally in the last couple of years. But in my early days of like in YouTube or doing all this stuff, I thought I had to do it all, every aspect, all the time. Go for it. If I need something created, I have to shoot it, edit it, whatever it is, build it. But what I've learned is like the idea is what matters. That's what, if you've come up.
I enjoy video editing. So, but like if I'm physically doing something, I will hire, like, remember Ryan? I think you met him at Polaroid.
Yes.
You were hanging. Yeah. So Ryan did the majority of my BTS and all the handy. So we'll talk about like different types of cameras. So some of my BTS, like, I think a post on my Instagram, it's going to be like, it's like the official H&M paid post. But what I did was I presented them these 3 clips that I edited together that were all taken on an actual handy cam.
Yeah.
So, because you really can't mimic that type of filter, you can't mimic that sound, that clicking, that like, the frame
artifacts
that turns blue out of nowhere, right? So we had like a few different video cameras going at the time, and Ryan specifically was like, "Hey, I'm also going to shoot this. I'll dump everything, in a drive, in a Dropbox, and then the fun part for me was going through everything and then editing up these pieces." So that's something that it's like you cannot, when you're trying to like create these projects, your time and your energy is so important. So there's nothing wrong. It's actually, there's some freedom in being able to pay a trusted fellow creator to handle a portion. And then the great part for you is that you get to just have that tunnel vision on creating what you need to do that day, and then trust that you're going to have a robust amount of additional content from that partner. So plus I don't like working alone.
Right. No, I hear you. I
get so lonely. I'm just like, wait, okay, let's like hire. I mean, I'm blessed and I live in New York. I have some very, very talented friends like Ryan, like the photographer Tristan that I was talking about.
Yeah.
So, that makes it a nice, copacetic, friendly set to also work on. And then that your subjects are going to feel really, really comfortable when they kind of come in for their time. And we did the shoot for Cute. We did 2-day studio sessions and back to back. It was like 2 people came in, we had 15 minutes in between, 2 people came in, we had maybe like 20 minutes in between, and then 3 people came in. So it was important to make sure that like I was dividing the time appropriately and then hiring for, specific needs.
Yeah. No, that's huge. It's something that if anyone's listening that if they're a creator themselves and they're struggling, or maybe not starting because they think that they need to do everything, like you don't have to do everything. Your idea is the most important part, and it's just asking for help. Don't be afraid to ask for help, and it doesn't make you a less of a creator if you have to ask for help, because that's literally all it is. Collaborations, knowing people, networking. You think James Gunn or George Lucas can make their movies without their team? No, it's impossible. These are their directors, if you don't know who they are.
Well,
make movies.
I don't think George Lucas is making anything now, but James Gunn,
right.
But and there's also like insecurities pop up. Like, I put a lot on my plate and I was confident, and then at the last minute I had never used this camera before. So I was like, Ryan, can you put the film in here? I'm afraid that I'm not filming correct. And he did. Yeah. It's like these are the things that you're like, hey, I need partnership, I need camaraderie, because I would be lying if I said I knew everything. And again, some of my insecurity comes from the idea of, I really do respect the craft of and the art and the talent of a photography, and I would never claim to be a traditionally trained photographer. So all of this is stuff that I thankfully go to your amazing channel. No, truthfully, to kind of give myself not only to stay current in terms of, I mean, you do like really great videos about what are the best Instax, what are the best Polaroid. Like, I love those roundup videos that you do. You're like, what are the 7 best? And I'm like, oh, gotta watch this. Or I'll listen to it. Like, as I'm working, I'll listen to the audio of it as well. Like, if I'm just like trying to power through emails or like get stuff done or edit, it's like the best just to like put on your channel. I have a big TV back here, and I'll just like listen to like your lists. And it's so helpful, because you stay current on the different cameras that are out there. You're always like, I always know, like when that Instax wide dropped, like I'm like, okay, like what is Chris saying about that? And like you had the review. Well, it was like very. No, you did. Well, you were talking about the features.
I don't have it. I did find it recently, but anyway, I wasn't sent
one. I saw it yesterday. I saw Well, I mean, HTX, Instax HQ. Are you hearing me?
Yeah.
Send it to him. But I really do go to your channel to make informed purchase decisions because I'm making those purchase decisions to create, and I trust your POV. You're also very honest. Like you'll say if you like a camera, but then like what the actual output is.
Yeah.
And it's very helpful. It's like, and I think it's important if you didn't have the ability to attend like film school or take photography classes or whatever you would consider to be traditional photography classes, it's important to go to resources like your YouTube channel and just make sure that you're making the best informed decision, because when it comes to analog, this stuff costs money.
Yeah.
It is like money, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I don't want to be disappointed as if I've wasted money. So, and
Yeah.
you kind of kicked off the resurgence in my creativity after I watched your Mini Evo. I watched a few, you mentioned Mini Evo a few different times. And then I was like, okay, this is easy. I'm going to like go buy this. Remember.
Oh yeah. My video came out in late 2022, and it was almost, I think, a year ish, close to a year by the time that had come out before I even got my hands on one.
I think I watched yours around January of 2022, actually, or you had mentioned something.
I think I did a video or a live stream because when cameras come out, I still try to do something. Like it's usually as a live stream just to talk about it. That way I'm still in the searches. I'm still popping up in the algorithm when people are looking for stuff.
What I watched, because it was like an hour long. It was like an hour video.
Yeah.
So that's probably just to say,
yeah. I did that with the Polaroid Go when it was leaked back in 2021.
Now, this is the one thing I have to say. I think I've given you so many flowers, and it's very clear to anyone watching or listening to this that
I got you.
that I respect your work, and that I think what you are doing specifically on YouTube has been such a tremendous help, specifically to me and to all of your viewers and listeners.
Thank you.
And then you speak glowingly about the Polaroid Go. And now listen, okay, here's the thing. I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt. The version I have, yes, it's Gen 1. What am I missing? Because I got to tell you, I certainly struggled with the anything on that with that camera.
So with the Polaroid Go, especially the Gen 1, their quality control wasn't the best. Some people got good ones, some people got bad ones, some people got just okay ones. And then they came out.
I was sent it from Polaroid, though.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, okay. So I was so excited to use it, and I have to say, like,
I did not.
You won't find one example of any photo I took of it on the internet.
Yeah,
for
people know. I'm probably tired of hearing Chris go off about Polaroid, but I do love Polaroid, and I do hold them accountable, when I can. And
you're fair. You are fair.
I love them more. I'll say this. And this is probably screwing me with Fuji, but I love them more than Fuji.
Okay, Chris said that, not me. So just to be clear,
I still don't Chris, get me wrong. No,
Chris, we can't use any of it.
Okay, let's put back
to
you.
Mark the tape. Whoever's in your production, hey, is it Trevor in production? Trevor, you can't use any of that.
Yeah, no, I do love Fuji though. I every time I pull one out and shoot it, I'm always amazed. But
Fuji's so foolproof. Fuji is foolproof. Like you can stumble out of bed and accidentally take a photo, and it's like color's great.
It's awesome.
Consistency, the wash all throughout. Polaroid, on the other hand, it's
never know.
Fair enough.
Yeah, you
sweating
never know.
to death, borderline diarrhea, and you're like, oh God, please.
Yeah, you never know what you're going to get, and then it costs more money, all that stuff. But the thing with Fuji is they don't innovate. They just kind of actually, they take stuff away from us, like their new wide camera. They took away the features. But the thing about the Polaroid Go is, they had some QC problems. The one I got, the first one, it was fine. It worked good for the needs. It's just also using it to its advantages. You can't go take pictures of like buildings or landscapes with that thing. It's a party camera. It's for it's for selfies.
So give me the perfect use case.
Yeah.
So you're like, hey Greg, when you're using the Polaroid Go, you got to be in XYZ environment.
Pretty much indoors, kind of like at Phoocon, how we were, like a little party or event, things like that. It's things that are up close.
So bright lighting, controlled environments.
Yep. Outside, it's going to be questionable. You're going to get some inconsistencies in like the lighting and things like that. And as far as like the shadows and highlights, and it's just going to be, it's going to be meh. But if you're at a party, it's great for that stuff. Small gathering.
If I'm at a party, I got my silver case Instax.
There you go. Then use that. And actually, it's a bigger photo, cheaper. The Go is great. It's smaller, kind of. It sort of fits in your pocket. Not really, but it's attempted. Yeah. But the Polaroid Gen 2, which I haven't done a video yet because I did pick it up while at Polaroid. I bought it from Brooklyn Film Camera. The blue one.
That's a good store. I love that store.
Yeah. Hopefully I'll have Kyle on. I've mentioned him about being on the podcast, and he seemed interested.
He is so nice.
Yeah, he was great. He was generous enough to get me in a workshop at Polaroid last minute because he found out I was coming and wanted to include me, which was really cool.
So upset. I was so upset that I had to miss your workshop. But yes, you did a wonderful workshop.
It is available on Patreon. I did record it just from afar. I am mic'd up so you can hear me, but just some tips and what was it? What did I call it? Hacks and things. That's what I called it. It was like some Polaroid hacks and just some things I recommend.
Did you play with the black and white film at that time? No, that's another video.
Yeah, so I did do a video recently about the new black and white film, and also I did get a pack from, his name's Eric as well. He was there. He lives in Washington. He lives like a couple hours from me. He got his hands on a couple boxes of the brand new film while we were there, and I asked him, like, hey, where'd you get that? And he was like, well, here, and just gave me a box. He wouldn't tell me how he got it, but he gave me a box. It was awesome. But that black and white film was super cool. But yeah, going back to the Go a little bit, I've come around to it a lot more. I've noticed.
I'm gonna power it up. I'm gonna power it up. I'm gonna dust it off.
Yeah,
I'm gonna use it. You know what I'm gonna do?
Close up shots.
I'm gonna text you the outcomes.
Yes, please. Yeah, definitely. I thought about doing a Polaroid Go, a little contest with like best Polaroid Go photos with a small giveaway of some kind, because
I would love to see, because I'd like to see.
Yeah, there's a company that I've been working with a little bit. Actually, they're the reason I was able to go to Polaroid in the first place. They make acrylic photo frames for instant photos, such as Instax, but they just started releasing Polaroid frames, and one of them is a Polaroid Go kind of frame. And so I thought about giving some of those away, doing a small contest here in the summertime. I got to coordinate that, but the Go is great. It was very, very popular during Polaroid. Everyone bought that new one and was like shooting around, and they're getting the epic photos. So I'm just like, man, I got some good ones, but not quite like this.
So you think it's the new version? You think
potentially? I mean, they say they've improved a lot of it. However, I don't know if that's necessarily true. Polaroid does like to kind of utilize. So here's the thing. The UK or overseas, I can't remember what it's called. So if you know what this is, let me know. But the new regulation went into play over the UK for manufacturing for USB-C standard. So anything coming out of China or whatever that's being made over there, they have to have a USB charger. That's the new standard. Well, Polaroid has their cameras manufactured over there, so they are required to have that changed because they were still using micro. So they do a not giant launch, but a new launch of a new camera, new colors, new features, blah, 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 blah. Not new features, but that's what they're kind of saying. It's like improvements and plus USB-C charging as like the bonus. But I don't know if that's necessarily true, especially on the Now Plus camera Gen 2. I did a full review on that. It was exactly the same. The quality was still trash, way overexposed. If you're indoors in controlled lighting, it's fine-ish. You still get the highlights are still very, very bright. But
when you talk about indoors controlled lighting, so I have to say that is like one of the biggest learnings I learned from your videos, so that when I took all of that when I set up the lighting, I didn't set up the lighting. Ryan set up the lighting, but we talked about like softbox lighting and that it was all controlled. And that's one of the reasons why hopefully you see that like so much of the Polaroid photography is consistent throughout, because it was like controlled studio lighting. Because sometimes, like I said, you're braver than me. You will go out in these areas and these environments and do expired film and new film and all these different tests, which is great because as the viewer, we get to learn and then make the decision for ourselves. But like the biggest learning, I think that is like that kind of shines through all of your videos, specifically from that like genre of your content, is like how lighting can like make or break absolutely any kind of analog or instant photo. It's wild. It's wild.
Yeah, it is. You have to choose between highlights or shadows. That's really all you got to do. Now, if you're shooting with the new black and white film, I will say that stuff handles both very well.
Is that I-type as well? Is the black and white I-type?
So no, it's a 600 right now. I don't think there's I-type. However, it's the same. You can throw it in your I-type camera and it'll be just fine. It'll fit in there. They usually do a lot of those like duochrome, right? Or some of this. Well, I shouldn't say special frames. There's some, but not many. Well, Polaroid tends to put those in as 600 because you can still use them in 600 as well as I-type cameras. Instead of just having it as I-type. But they do that a lot with the special frame, like a lot of them, like Keith Haring or some of the Star Wars or Stranger Things ones or whatever.
Yeah,
like they're I-type, they don't fit in 600. I don't understand why they would do that, but they did.
What was the who's the man from Labyrinth, the singer that they did?
Oh yeah, Bowie, David Bowie.
Yes, Bowie. I'm sure your viewers will love that my reference to David Bowie is Labyrinth and not like the huge music star icon that he has.
Right. Yeah.
But I'm kind of like obsessed with those and the circle frames.
Circle round frames are great.
I'm kind of like obsessed with that whole. That's the thing. It's like, it's like a white knuckle experience praying that these photos turn out, but you just don't, for me at least, and you can obviously disagree with me, this is your show, but I just don't have that kind of like creative versatility with Instax. Like I feel like Polaroid as a company really does place creativity at the foremost of all of their ideation and their process and their consumer experience. Where Instax, yes, it's a consistent, great product, but I'm not going to be. But there's kind of like boundaries, right? Like kind of like boxed in. Where right. Polaroid, you can really do a lot with those frames, which makes it so more. It lends itself to like creating physical things with these actual images, scanning them in. And also I think that they're thinking about the way that content is funneled through the internet as well, like these colored frames, these patterned frames that they're doing, or even the circle one that you were saying. It makes you like kind of stop in your feed when you see it because you're familiar with Polaroid, but you may not be familiar with this specific frame, which kind of sets it apart.
Yeah, no, for sure. And the funny thing about the round frames is that those were a special edition and that they put out, it was going to be a one and done, but they sold out within like 10 minutes or something like that when it first came out, and people were losing their minds over it. So then they just made it become a standard back in 2021. Now it's just that. I wish they do more like do a triangle or some other shapes or something. That'd be kind of fun. You'd lose a lot of your frame, but
you would.
It could be fun.
Or even like a middle rectangle. I mean, I have one of the peach Pantone boxes left, and that's it. I can find them. I can't find them for what I consider to be a reasonable price because they kind of that short run. And but I do have one box of the 600 green film that's like totally expired that I did purchase at an amazing yard sale at Brooklyn Camera Shop. Like if you ever, I have to tell you, it could be worth the price of a flight and a hotel room to come to their next. They call it like a backyard sale, I believe. Like, that area that has like the tent behind the store. It is like crazy. I got an Olympus that's behind me for like, I don't know, $120, which if anyone is looking for the Olympus, 2 years ago, Zendaya made them the most popular 35 millimeter camera on the internet. She like used it twice and now they're impossible to get. They the price is sometimes $400 online. They haven't been made since the late 90s, and I don't know how she got her hands on one. I got one for $120 at that sale, and a ton of film. It's a pretty good experience.
Yeah, I got to go for the first time. I made sure to go because I was leaving the day because there was a photo walk that was happening on that Sunday, and my flight was that evening, and so I
Did they
didn't.
do a backyard sale afterwards?
No, but they did the backyard sale like 2 days before Policon, which I mean, I'm just gonna say, Kyle, I love you, man, but the timing of that should have been shifted, I think.
Wow.
But
I was on the air.
yeah, so they did one, but so I was able to at least make a special trip before I left to go check out the shop because I really wanted to. It was a cool spot, a little hangout spot. It's just open, just hang out back there.
I know it's very comfortable, and it's a nice environment because it promotes like people talking to each other. Like there's a lot of like kind of nooks that you can go. They have that like great little like front, almost like a faux living room almost space. Like it kind of has that coffee table. It's a very nice like comfortable atmosphere. And I did not know that they had a backyard sale 2 days before Policon. I could have gone.
Yeah, it was a couple of days, something like that, maybe a week. It was like within a week or less, if I remember right. I remember seeing the posts. I'm like, ooh, why wouldn't you just save this? That would have been perfect. But
Well, you know what I do have to put you on to, and obviously it would take a little bit of planning, but there's this trend of like these pop-up analog film Instagram accounts renting out spaces and having like giant sales of like all their vintage cameras and parts as well. Like a lot of times if something is breaking because it's so old or it's vintage, you run out of the ability of fixing it because
yeah,
you don't have the parts. There was one in Brooklyn like I think it was going to be last summer, and the line was close to 2 hours long. Obviously, like we would get there early. Like I wouldn't like get you in a 2 hour line,
yeah,
so that you're like sunburnt within the inch of your life. But there's a ton of these like pop up like analog film accounts that are doing these like sales or IRL experiences. So I'll have to put you on. I'll have to send you one where it's like far enough in advance.
yeah. I'm headed up to Seattle actually in a couple of days for something entirely different. But at the end of this month, I'm actually going back up there. There's which I think the name is very misleading. They should probably work on that. But it's called Seattle's Film Fest. It's not for movies or short films. It's film photography.
Oh,
But
call it a film fest.
yeah, I don't know why.
That is very confusing.
Yeah, so but it's held at Glazier's, which is a pretty popular big camera shop in Seattle. So I'm going up there for the day. I don't know if they're doing some event as far as like sales or anything, but I'm excited to go check it out.
I love that is my favorite thing to do. I'm so sad that I didn't know you when you had your collectible store, because I totally would have made a trip out there to see it. Like it's
still
that is
there.
my favorite. Is it? Oh, it is.
Yeah, so I don't own it. I mean, it's changed to a third generation now. The guy I sold it to recently sold, I think, almost maybe coming up in a year now. But I sold it back in 2018. But it's under a new name. But it's same storefront, same
Does it
everything.
still have the Shield logo in the center?
No, they changed it. But I think I've been meaning to go in there because I think the person that bought it might have been a customer or known of me before, because he combined the names of what my store was and the previous owners. Is because my store was called Showroom Collectibles. Then the other person changed it to Toy Box Heroes, which I thought was with a Z. I don't know. But now it's called now it's called
not with a Z.
Yeah, it was but now it's called Toy Box Collectibles.
Oh, okay.
So it's like I'm thinking like it might be somebody that I might recognize. So I keep meaning to go in there and just check it out, but I haven't had a chance to. But yeah, that would have been cool if you stop by.
I have to hit you up. I'm planning. I am going to LA next week, but I'm also going to LA for like more of like a longer period in August. And I'm always. Do you have like lists, or for your listeners or your viewers? Can you direct us to any like list that you've done of like LA photo shops, or like vintage camera or film places?
So what I've done, I gotta look at my phone real quick. I won't show you here. I'll text it to you. So I've made. You're an iPhone user. I would.
Oh my God! What am I an iPhone user, Chris?
So I have. You can save guides or build guides in the maps.
Oh yeah.
So I have.
You have one?
So I have one. There's a map on with like hundreds of comic book and collectible shops across my that I've been to or I need to check out. I've started making one for neon signs or cool picture opportunities, and I have some for LA. I have a bunch of them for LA, to be honest.
Please send it to me.
But the one I need you to do me a favor when you go to LA.
Tell me. What?
Okay, this is exclusive. This might be for patrons only. We'll see. But Jason Lee, obviously, I'm a big fan. Everyone on the channel knows that. My name is Earl. My intro to my show is inspired by that. I got to meet him earlier this year in January, and talk to him about being on the podcast. He was super duper uber over the moon interested. Gave me his email address. He gave me his partner's email address. All this stuff to try. He gave me 3 email addresses to email him. He's like, just message me. I messaged him, never heard back. And so he has a film No, he's still around. He owns a film camera store. Eagle Rock Camera. So if you go in there,
I will go, and on behalf of you, I have absolutely no problem at all going in, advocating for your show, advocating for him being a guest on it. That is like the easy. I do that kind of every day.
The thing is, the cool thing is, he works the shop, so he's there. Yeah, he's his. Right? I'm pretty sure. So I don't know if he's there every single day, but he's there like 90% of the time. And
he's like an employee of the camera shop. Jason Lee from like Mallrats and all that.
Yes, it's his store. Him and another guy that own it. And right next door is his wife's business. It's like an apothecary type thing. And so literally they're like right next to each other. Like basically the buildings are almost touching. It's the most adorable thing because then they'll like cross post each other's stuff all the time. And he's just a cool guy. But yeah, he just posts. He's like, hey guys, just got this new camera in the shop today.
What is going on? I mean, because I feel like Jamie Presley, she was on that show as well, right? So I never watched the show, but I remember it being very popular. I remember like friends at school like into it. And then there was the guy that was on it that like recently like got really fit all of a sudden or something. Is that right?
Yeah.
I would think that the residuals from I mean, maybe that was what he bought the real estate for. I mean, if he owns that real estate, good for him.
He also owns a skateboard company because he used to be a professional skateboarder.
That makes sense. Well, that was his whole entry into like Clerks and Mallrats, and it was all that like skate culture. Yeah.
Yeah. And so
I'm surprised at how much I know about Jason Lee.
Right? I think for him, he doesn't really act much anymore, and that's his choice.
Right.
And he's just he was always into film photography and skateboard, and that was like his main things, right? And so now he's just kind of a normal guy, just kind of owns a business.
Someone who's chosen to have less of a public profile, which he has the ability to make that decision because his acting in that show really, gave him a nice little nest egg, I assume. Well, here's the thing, Chris. You have my promise that I will march in there. First of all, you need to send me the address so I know where I'm going. So I got to put the address in the Uber. I will go there on behalf of you, and I will ask him nicely, in a very polite way, very directly, to not only get back in touch with you, but to be on your show and to have that conversation with you.
Yeah, just check his email. That's pretty much it.
No, but I don't think it's that. I think you need his. I'm going to give him. Do I have permission to give him your cell phone?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. All right, so that's
have
what
Jason Lee call me.
That's what I'll do, or text. Or text.
That's cool. FaceTime, whatever.
But yeah, you should. That should happen. That makes a lot. That would be.
So
Yes, I have
here,
no problem doing that.
I appreciate that. Here's the inside scoop part that I'm probably gonna leave for Patreon members. So I'm still fleshing out the idea, but they kind of already know about it.
Oh.
So Goose Week 2, the return of Goose Week.
Yes.
The whole Goose Week thing that I did wasn't even planned. It was a thing that just kind of happened. I didn't flush it out. I went to Polaron in San Francisco, shot with the Goose pack film, and then I got back and continued to shoot the rest of the film. And it just was a thing. I'm like, this is like a 30-minute video. I can chop it into 2, and then that turned into multiple videos from there. It literally created it on the fly. Yeah, I just was on the fly. Each episode didn't really
Goose cinematic universe.
Right, exactly. It never really tied into anything like. Exactly. The Goose, I love it. The GCU. I'm gonna remember that.
You should take it. It's free.
It's free. I appreciate it. So each episode doesn't like cohesively tied together. So what am working on and building is making Goose Week a whole thing, but I'm gonna travel, so it's gonna be real, 100% real. I don't know the ending, right? I don't know the result, but I'm setting myself up for either failure or success, right? Like the hero's journey, and I'm gonna put myself in positions and see if it works out. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Well, either way, I'll get content and it's a story to be told. The story is road trip down to California to Jason's store to shoot pack film with Jason Lee, and I'm
unannounced.
So ideally, I'm going to play it off as that, but I'm probably going to at least try and contact him ahead of time and get the ball rolling a little bit. That's the goal. Or maybe it's just... What?
You know what? I feel like separately outside of this conversation, I could probably help you actually get... we should separate... This is a great idea, but my fear is that you would go down and perhaps he would not be there, or,
right.
We need to formulate it in a way so that you're going right. and all parties are aware and they're expecting it.
Exactly. That's obviously the main goal. I'm going to reach out, or hey, maybe you can put a word in, things like that. But ideally for the audience, they don't know some of that stuff. So it's scripted, but not scripted. Because even if I go and he's not interested or whatever, that's still the story. That's just how the story goes.
No, I don't want that to be the story.
But no, it wouldn't be great. But along the way, I'm going to be shooting road trip, roadside attractions and things like that. There's other things happening, right? But the underlining carryover is the main trip. The main goal is to get to Jason Lee. The road to Jason Lee. When I think my very first live stream I did on the channel about 5 years ago, we were talking about this, and it became hey, we need to get Jason Lee on the channel in some regard. So it's been this journey.
His story is beautiful.
Yeah. He does his own stuff, and they're hilarious. He does these little skits from time to time, and it's funny.
Is he so close with Kevin Smith?
Yeah, I would imagine.
Yeah, his story is gorgeous. The story is beautiful.
I'm going to try and get a sponsor to help me pay for some of this, because I'm going to drive down there. I'm probably going to try and do a little bit, do it as overlanding. Now that I have a Jeep, I got a Jeep. So now I need to get a pop-up tent and stuff.
Congratulations.
Yeah, it wasn't planned.
Wait, you're not going to stay at a hotel? You can't stay outside. That's not safe.
Well, I'd be staying at RV parks. That's the goal.
Okay. Do they have showers?
Yeah, so I didn't know this. This is totally off topic. This might be a Patreon add-in. But in 2020, it was awful. I was starting a business, and then all my clients canned me because COVID hit and they didn't have any money and blah, blah, blah. So anyway, I was working with somebody, and they offered me some work, but they're it can't really pay a lot, but also we're not going to be flying to some of these destinations we need to go to. We're going to, if you want, for basically 3 weeks, we're going to be renting an RV. And so we're going to drive. So it's just one guy and then me. So two people. And so I lived in an RV for 3 weeks, driving around to Phoenix. I drove down to San Diego, San Francisco and things. And it opened my eyes to a whole new community of way of life. Yeah. We were staying at RV parks, and I just assumed RV parks were just you park up and hook up your power and that's it. But no, there's another building for showers and laundry, and there's food, and there's way more to it than just that. And it was like for the RV itself, like $40 for the night. And then there's people then there's people parking their cars that were just driving through and need a spot. I think they're only like, a lot of them were like $15 to $30 minimum, or maximum, I should say, to like stay in these. So I'm like,
I am unaware of that entire kind of realm.
Me too. It was like, quite interesting.
My touch base when, I feel like we could trade fandoms. Like I could learn so much about My Name is Earl from you, and you could learn so much about Sex and the City from me. So
sounds like a great.
But I suspect our crossover fandom is MCU.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and instant photography and all this stuff. We got a lot more than that.
Yeah, we have a lot more than that.
And Taylor Swift.
Taylor Swift. I mean, well, that's our patron saint. May she lead us all to a healthy world.
Well, before we wrap up, and this may be just for me, I might cut this out if you don't want to answer it.
Okay.
Do you really know Emma Stone?
Oh, Emma Stone. Oh, okay. So yes, a few times, but the only time that she remembered me was years ago. It was literally like second or third year I lived in the city, and she's very sweet, very kind. We were all at a party together. We were talking about how much we were at Britney Spears' birthday party, but the thing is that
just like casually drop that.
No, right, but but Britney was not there. It was like during a time where, like, I mean, I feel like everyone kind of knows to the extent of what has gone on in her life. Anyway,
sure.
So Emma and I were talking about how much we love her, and it was kind of dark, so I couldn't tell it was her. But she was so amazing. Like, I loved talking to her, and she was like asking me what I do. And I was like, oh, I'm like trying to get a job in magazines. I was like, I don't know. And she's like, oh, I'm an actress. And then like, I was like, oh, that's so cool. Like, oh, that's so like, well, is it hard? Like, do you live here? She's like, I eventually want to live in New York. And then like it became lighter in one area. And I was like, oh, I'm like Easy A. Like, this is like, I obviously know it's Emma Stone. And I was like, oh my God, I love your movie, blah, blah, blah. And then I talked to her because Easy A, there was a woman from this band that I like, Allie and AJ. She's like plays the best friend. And she's like, oh, I had no idea that she was like part of a Disney Channel singing group. I'm like, oh my God, they have so many songs. Like we were talking about like, and then she very nicely, like 2 people came over that were organizers of the event. And they were like, okay, it's time to go to Britney's section now. And they like took her away. And she was like, wait, honey, come with me. And I was like, oh my God. So we went over, obviously, Britney Spears was still kind of like, we were not physically able to get close to her. There was still rope, but as close as you could get to her. Wow. So she made sure I could come over, and she was so kind. And then I guess she like was friends with Lance Bass, because then for the rest of the night, they just like Emma and Lance Bass like hung out, and I was just like, hey,
he's there.
But I remembered the event photographer, he was like, oh, I know you. I met you a while ago, and I took a picture of you and Emma Stone. And I was like, there's a picture of me and Emma Stone like from that night, because I never really talked about it because there was like no picture. And there was like just a friend that I was there knew about it. And I was like, okay, well, that's good enough. And I had like pictures of like tried to get pictures of the Britney Spears hoopla, right, which like did not come out. So I think it was like during COVID, he sent me the photo. He was just like going through his hard drive and cleaning out like the last like X amount of years of his work. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, this is a picture of me and Emma Stone. So the joke is like, I put it up like, because she doesn't have social, so she'll never see it. Like she doesn't have social media. So the joke was when she like won the Academy Award, I was like, love you, girl.
Yeah. I was like, wait. I was that way too. I was one of them. I'm like, no way. You know her?
I was like, Emma, you make us all so proud. And people are like, you know Emma Stone? And I was like, I don't know Emma Stone. She's very kind, and she was very sweet, and but I don't know her. But it's just funny because it's like, like I said, like a lot of I don't know, like the other photography, to bring it back to try to create that loop for you, but a lot of my ability to kind of get my Polaroid specifically seen is like the access that I have in New York. Like I have the ability, I run in certain circles. I'm in like this creative industry where I get invited to a lot of really interesting events that are attended by like artists and sometimes celebrities and creators. So it's like that gives me, I'm always grateful that I'm able to take advantage of those moments and like create imagery and photography and videos. So, but I did
Yeah.
not have a camera that night.
Man, what are the one freaking time Emma, she I think I told you, but the audience doesn't know, she is my celebrity crush.
Oh, she's so kind.
I fell in love with her in 2008 when I watched Superbad. When I was 18 years old.
Right. So what? So
2007.
when was
2007, actually. It was the summer going into my
Yes.
senior year that movie had come out. It was 2007. And I'm like, oh my gosh, who's this person?
I know. I always thought she was in another movie with Anna Faris, and I thought she was so.
Yes.
She's
House
just
Bunny.
like, yes. Oh my god, House Bunny was so funny.
It was so good.
But she's and then Easy A. I mean, I could
Easy A.
recite.
That's
Like,
like
you could turn off the sound, and I could recite that film from start to finish.
I
Like, when that
just
film came
watched
out,
it like
I
a month ago.
remember- Oh, again.
Again. Oh yeah, I watched it when it came
Yeah.
out. I saw it in theaters.
Yeah. You know what movie I didn't see?
Hmm.
I did not see La La Land. Yeah, I'm just like
What?
not. I just like it's.
What?
It just doesn't. I know.
Oh
I
my
feel like
God.
it just doesn't like speak to me. But like everything else I've seen of hers, I've seen. I really enjoy, except for like the new one that came out. I've
Poor
had a
Things.
lot of friends that have. No.
You see that one?
I saw that. That was like, yeah, that was
wild.
like hyper violent and interesting. There's a new one. It's called like Kinds of Kindness that I've had a lot of friends that have gone to screenings.
Same director, I
and
believe.
they said, right, correct. She like loves to repair with him, which is great. But a lot of my friends have said it's like one of the most violent, disturbing films that they've like ever seen. So I tend to stay away from movies like that. Like I'm just like not here. Like, you know,
I can appreciate
like
her
my husband
trying
barely
to like step out of her
see-
normal.
Well, I feel like she can do anything. Like just she does anything.
Yeah.
But I can like barely take A Quiet Place. So I don't know
Really?
if I'm mentally and emotionally prepared to see, quote unquote, someone tell me that it is one of the most disturbing things they've seen on film. So,
Interesting.
but I'm happy that you like her, and she's very sweet. She's very kind. She's very petite. She's like a small framed human.
Yeah.
But we also talked about Shrek.
Oh.
I remember we talked about Shrek, and we talked about like she wasn't really into like pop music, and I love pop music because there would be like people walking by, and I was like, oh, that's blah blah blah, that's blah blah blah, and she's like, did you get like a sheet or something? Like, how do you know? And I'm like, oh no, I just know in my head.
Wow. How are you able to get access to these types of events and parties and celebrities?
It's really just like the industry that I work in and the certain circles that I'm very active within the creator space in New York, and I've had corporate positions at brands and agencies for the better part of 10 years. So it's just kind of that mix that allows me, I'm just happy to still be invited to things. I think that after like a decade, you kind of in New York, you kind of like, okay, do people still like me, or am I not people like me, but do people still think I'm like interesting and creative? And something like doing cute with a company like H&M is very helpful for me to like understand that I can still do relevant things, and you can still do relevant creativity. You can put that out in the world, and it doesn't have to be digital or tech based. This is a project. Cute was a project that came completely from analog. So Polaroids, scan, 35 millimeter half frame film. So
that's awesome. And so we didn't mention this, but how do people get their hands on your zine? on Cute?
So basically, Cute was a short run. So
Okay.
it was just physically accessible through the Pride Parade on June 30th, which just happened. So H&M had a wonderful street team that was handing out
Oh,
issues of the zine. And then, but you know what? You gave me a lot of food for thought. So for my second issue, I think that I do have to like challenge myself to, I don't want to create a commerce part. Like I don't want to charge people for it, but I want, because I literally stopped counting the amount of people, not that I didn't respond, but I stopped counting the amount of people that were asking me, how do I get this? Where can I find it? Things of that nature. So I think maybe like having a retail partner, like a physical retail partner in the future. But I just don't want to like charge for it.
right. Maybe do a donation to like a charity or something, to some
Charity
cause,
or something.
and then you get a zine with your donation.
Something like that. Yeah, I have to figure that out. But I will say that I have a lot of companies that have reached out, and that's one of the reasons why I'm going to LA for an extended period of time in August, is to just have a bunch of meetings with companies that either like the aesthetic and want to see how they can weave this aesthetic into branding opportunities or campaigns, or actually do a published piece. So yeah,
That's super exciting. I like that. I love hearing about your success and everything.
Yeah,
Where can people find you on the interwebs? What's the best way to get a hold of you?
I'm on Instagram and I'm on TikTok and maybe X. I don't even use X. I'm on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads as Littley. It's my last name twice.
I really, really appreciate you coming on and chatting. I would love to collaborate with you on something in the future. That'd be so much
Chris,
fun.
we should. I feel like there's something between the world of like analog photography, instant photography, and maybe like cosplay or Comic-Con or D23.
Oh yeah.
There's something there that I haven't been to a D23 since 2019. So
I've never
God
been.
knows those have changed. Oh my God, you would absolutely love it, Chris. You would absolutely love it.
It'd be fun.
Oh, it's like a Marvel church. Like
Yeah.
I don't even know how to like describe it. And Star Wars, you love Star Wars.
I do.
It's so many of your fandoms that that convene in one place with like exclusive information. I don't know another way. It's a con.
Yeah.
No, I would definitely. I just appreciate you. Here's the thing: meeting you in person. Well, first of all, I hope people safely go up to you if they recognize you. I hope the majority of your viewership and fan base are, safe individuals. But I have to say, like, it was just so incredibly rewarding having the opportunity to speak to you and talk to you about different things that I enjoyed from your videos and the work that you put out in the world. And then, like I said, it's a full circle moment because so much of my analog journey started guided by the information and helpful instruction and reviews that you put on your YouTube channel. So now to be a part of one of your podcasts is really wonderful. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And yeah, we've got to do something. I appreciate it. I won't take up too much of your time, so I really appreciate you coming on, and we'll chat soon.
Yes, very soon.
And links to follow Gregory are in the description. I forgot to say that, but yeah, go check him out. Oh man, what a fun episode. Great conversation with Gregory. I had a blast. And if you want to get his zine, maybe reach out to him. Maybe he has a few copies laying around. You might get your hands on one. And definitely give him a follow to stay tuned for his next projects that he's got coming up. I'm really excited to see what he cooks up. And remember, this podcast is in video and audio form over on Spotify and YouTube. And there's even an extended version of every single podcast episode over on Patreon. Consider becoming a Spitfire Club member today. Links are in the description. Thank you so much for watching and listening, and I'll see you in the next episode. Now, get out there, make some art.